we got our first order.
It was an everyday hustle.
We were working 18 hours a day and we were doing literally goddamn everything from product to delivery.
The cash is not into the business. There is no cash, but the styles are running out of stock and you have to place a bigger order and there is no money. Every person that we told that we are starting something like this, a gymwear brand, first question would be, why would people buy from you? Why wouldn't they buy from these big brands? They didn't understand the gap. They didn't have the belief that we had.
We put all our heart and soul into it, thinking that it's going to work. There is no other way. We woke up around 7 a.m. in the morning, and the first thing, like before even you wake up or open your eyes, you want to just open the phone and see and refresh whether you've got any order.
In the morning was a bit sad that we didn't have any orders.
And it was kind of really disappointing. It was like because we launched the website with so much excitement, and there wasn't anyone else out there feeling the same excitement. Went on with that day, went to our offices. I think she got into her day, I got into my day, had meetings. And in every meeting that I was sitting in, I was still refreshing my phone to see like if somebody ordered. And I remember around 10 to 11 a.m. While I was in a meeting, and I refreshed and there was an order. I get goosebumps still. I just stood up from where I was sitting. And I was like, okay, who do I tell? And I was like, okay, I'm gonna call Anam and I'm gonna tell her that, we got our first order.
Yeah, it was mind-blowing. Like,
Yeah.
I just was almost like in shock, like, oh, wow.
I just couldn't wait for the day to end so we could go back and actually pack that order and ship that order to the customer and really understand how does that customer feel about the product that they received.
And I think by the time I remember we reached home, we had a couple of more orders.
Yes.
It wasn't just one on day one.
Yes.
We did get a few more. It was hard to reimagine yourself back in the normal day, normal life of work, and you have to obviously you have a list to go through, a lot of tasks, a lot of things to finish.
As soon as we launched our business and got the first order and got first few orders, the work started feeling a bit like a trap.
It almost felt like the momentum is now picking up, and day by day it was getting better and better. After we started getting the orders, I think the real hustle started. It was an everyday hustle. Every morning before work, we would go to the drop-off point, deliver the orders, and then go to work.
For 3 months, we were working every day. For 3 months, we were working at least 18 hours a day. Because we were doing our day jobs, we would come back and would try to give at least 6 to 8 hours to the business as well. And we were doing literally goddamn everything from product to delivery. It started becoming really, really frustrating. It was like why did we do this to ourselves? And it wasn't that we were regretting the decision of starting the business. We were just so tired.
It was hard to keep up with the demands because the business was growing really fast. So it was becoming very tough on us to keep up with all the demands of the business, with all the hard work that it required. We would run out of cash. So all our savings were gone into the inventory. They were completely dried up. So we were like, okay, what do we do now? Because the stock is running out. The stock that we have, it's not completely sold out. So the cash is not into the business. There is no cash, but the styles are running out of stock and you have to place a bigger order. And there is no money. We didn't know how to solve this. We were like clueless. We had never done this before. So for us, it was like, okay, now what do we do?
That's the first time where we learned cash flow. I still remember the day. It was a really funny conversation between Anam and I because she opened her accounting books and she was just trying to do the financial statements and cash flow statements for us as well. And I would just argue with her like anything. I was like, we're selling a lot. Where is cash? And she was like, sales and cash are two different things. I was like, no, it's not two different things. If you're selling, you should have cash. Like we would argue like endlessly about profit and loss statements and cash flow. She used to tell me, both of them are different things.
And words would be like, but we're making profit. Look at the last month's P&L. We have profit. But you're telling me the bank account is empty? How is that even possible?
Because we were really struggling with the cash flow. We really couldn't leave our jobs because we knew that the only way to finance the business is to keep doing the job, because at the end of the month we will get the salary. Literally the next day the entire salary would be transferred to China, because these factories that we really begged to make products for us, they wouldn't offer us any payment terms. They would want advance money to actually even start the production. They wouldn't even start the production without us actually paying them the advance deposit. I still remember the money would come in, we would just keep the rental money and the food money on the side, and we would transfer everything to the factories in China. So we had a lot of out of stock. We had a lot of stock issues in the start, because we just couldn't finance the growth and the demand that we had. And we still kept on going. I don't know how, but we still kept on going for 12 months like this. So after, we remember after like really 12 months of being really frustrated, we finally decided, okay, you know what, we will put a message on our website. When customers place an order, on the thank you page, we will tell them, due to stock arriving, we will deliver the order after a week. And we booked a vacation for both of us. And we went to Georgia, and where we said we will reflect a lot on like how are we going to carry on, and how are we going to do the business in future, because we just cannot carry on like this. One of us has to leave the job so that we can focus on our dream. I still remember we were sitting on top of a mountain in a cafe. We were discussing everything. We could see the entire city down, and it was a really, really beautiful moment. And all of a sudden, my phone rang, and one of my very dear friends in Pakistan, actually, he messaged me and he told me, like, I am noticing what you're doing. You and Anam are working on something that's really, really exciting. What are your plans with SQUATWOLF?
It was a very, very lucky moment.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
We were shocked. Like he just called randomly, and we were not anticipating or expecting anyone to save us like that.
Yeah.
Because we were just trying to figure out on our own, how are we going to reach out to the investors, how are we going to pitch. I started researching how a pitch is done. The moment we went back from Georgia, came back to Dubai, we had a meeting, and they loved the idea and they loved everything we were doing.
I had the pleasure of knowing you from university days, and we had worked together. We knew each other really well. We worked with each other really well. We got along very well, and we knew that we are backing some really, really, really smart people who believe in hard work, honest work, the real hustlers. When we saw that you were doing SQUATWOLF, and we were like, we want to back these people. And we knew that this is the right partnership and this is the right stage.
The investment was confirmed, and that's where we both had to sit down and decide who's gonna leave the job and get into the business full time. It wasn't really a tough decision, to be honest, because both of us sat down and we asked ourselves who's making more money. And actually, she was making more money at her job, and it was like, okay, you know what? You stay at job. I'm gonna leave my job. You can keep paying my salary from your salary, and we're gonna still keep one salary as a backup in case something doesn't work out. So we got the investment. I went ahead and I told my family that I'm gonna be the one who's gonna leave the job first. I picked up the phone and I talked about everything else rather than getting to the point that I needed to get to, where I needed to tell my father that I'm going to resign. So I just talked about everything else, and finally I was able to gather the courage to really get to the point and tell him, and I told him, Dad, I'm going to leave the job. He said, no, you shouldn't do this.